Well, anytime we can hear the fruit of the ministry, the fruit of what Jesus is doing in the lives of literally hundreds of thousands, millions of people across the globe, many, many countries, I think 27, 28, 29 countries, I've lost track, 19 languages. There's a common language that crosses all culture, and that is hope that we long for in our hearts. We long for change. We long for peace, and only Jesus can provide that. Today, we get to hear a life change story from a satisfied customer, our brother Jim. Today, we're going to talk about it. Welcome to Celebrate Recovery Official, a podcast that shares life change stories, courage, hope, and leadership wisdom, all centered around the Beatitudes in Matthew chapter 5, where the Celebrate Recovery principles were birthed to help us. Jesus gives us a roadmap to life, to face those events that bring up hurt. And when we run from that hurt, we can find ourselves believing some lies about how we see ourselves, God, and others, and fall into some habits, defenses, protections that cause havoc on our relationship with others and God. Celebrate Recovery helps us to face the hurt, heal from the hurt, really bring in new healthy practices, new healthy truths, and restored relationships. I'm a grateful believer in Jesus Christ. I struggle with drugs and alcohol and perfectionism. My name is Rodney. I'm the Global Field Director with Celebrate Recovery. Hey, thanks for sharing this podcast, helping us get the word out. Hope you're blessed by what you're hearing. I'd love to hear feedback from you. If you can give us a 5-star rating and a review, that helps us in the algorithms and getting more traction that people might stumble upon us. But help us in being intentional with sharing that with your forever family, someone that you think might be blessed by what we're giving here and sharing here. So, hey, I'm excited about today's podcast. Recently, I was on the road. I can't even remember where I was. I was at a conference, and I just love hearing life change stories. There's just such great encouragement when we hear from brothers and sisters in Christ. And I had a chance to sit down with one of our near dear brothers. He's actually a representative for us in Celebrate Recovery in Missouri. And anytime somebody has the courage to sit down and share, I value that courage. And he agreed. Jim agreed to share a little bit of his heart. So I'm excited for you to hear a little bit of that interview conversation with my brother Jim. Enjoy. So excited to be talking to my brother Jim. He's one of our great representatives here with Celebrate Recovery in the great state, the Show Me State of Missouri. And so we're here at a conference, and we thought, man, let's take advantage of this and hear a little bit of his, share a little bit of his story. But why don't you introduce yourself, and we'll jump into a conversation, Jim.
Thanks, Rodney. So I am a grateful believer in Jesus Christ. It's my struggles with anger, anxiety, and depression that brought me to Celebrate Recovery. My name's Jim. So my church, Morning Star Church in Darden Prairie, Missouri, we've been going about 13 years, and so it's good to be here with you. I appreciate you.
Awesome. Thursday nights at 6. Okay, great. So great group. I know he'd always love for you to come visit if you're in the area in Missouri. But man, kind of just walking through this, I know you and I have kind of bantered a little bit on character defects, and this may come out a little bit in the testimony, but give me 13 years you've been leading the ministry. Kind of give me, prior to coming into leadership, you come in to Celebrate Recovery, or maybe even before that. Give me a snapshot. Obviously, our stories can be big, and it's like, how do I cover all the details? But give me a kind of an overview of Jim's life that took you that place of, I need help. Give us a picture of that.
Well, obviously, I was in denial for most of my life. And when my church was about to start Celebrate Recovery, I was divorced and wanting to move back home to Detroit, living in St. Louis and commuting and stuff. And I'm like, I need to go. I don't want to get involved with this new ministry that they're doing. But then it started, and I wanted to do something. So I started playing in the band because I'm a musician, and they had a need. And then the more that I was there, the more that I heard what was going on. I felt something change inside of me. And that's when I knew there's something really, really special about this whole ministry. And that's been kind of the impetus of where I am today. Because really, I say it in my testimony, if I wouldn't have gotten the divorce when I did and got involved with the friends, a friend of mine at work, we would hang out, and he had this girlfriend, and we would all do crazy stuff. And, they were both heavy into Christ, and I was just kind of, dipping my toes in the waters. I'm like, okay, I need to go full in on this because I see what's going on there, and I need that kind of happiness in my life. And so that was really how that all started.
So I know we talked about kind of one of your areas of recovery is anger. And sometimes we talk about this in churches where we have in the bulletin, don't just put, hey, do you struggle with getting drunk? Come to CR. There's so much more than that. We know that. But one of those questions that we might put in our bulletin is, do you find yourself getting angry and don't know why? Or almost weaponized. I think of in the book of James, it says that we can't accomplish righteousness through anger, right? We can't use it as a tool to accomplish righteousness. We can't use it as a weapon. Tell me about anger, man, because that's one of those that can be a little bit confusing, right? Because who doesn't feel anger in their life in this broken world? I always think of it as a rise against an injustice. But it feels like it had gotten into an unhealthy space. Give me a picture of what anger in an unhealthy, weaponized space. What did that look like for Jim?
That looked like a lot of destruction. Case in point, we had a picnic table behind our garage at the house that I grew up in. And when I was not even a teenager yet, I found this hammer, and I would just get so frustrated, I would take it out on that poor picnic table. And I ended up destroying the picnic table, just beating it. And I didn't know why. Now, after I'm currently in my 7th step study, I have a really good idea now why that is. But at the time, I had no clue. And that just ramped up in my life to where I was at university, and there was a conference on campus that I didn't know about. And I just happened to show up one day. I'm like, I got to get to class. What's all these cars here for? There's a campus police officer directing traffic. I'm like, dude, I got to get to class. What's going on? And we went back and forth. So I peeled out right in front of him. And yeah, he chased me down and gave me a couple of tickets. And that's probably the worst thing that could have happened to me at the time. But luckily, I got out of the tickets so I didn't have to lose my license, because reckless driving in Michigan, you can lose your license for up to a year. And so I like to say in my testimony, if I had the tools back then, that would have ended completely differently, because I know that I've got Jesus Christ on my side, and I can give him those frustrations. I can give him that anger. So I like to say anger, it's a human emotion. We do need it to survive. It's what we do with our anger, right, that causes us to sin, basically. And one thing that I've heard recently that I also had to put into my testimony recently, I was like, anger, anxiety, depression, they're all kind of like radiation. They're always there in the background. Then sometimes you get a free trip to Chernobyl.
I love that. So what was the breaking point for you when like that example of peeling off in front of a police officer? It's like, oh man, Jim, you're on a fine line here. What was the breaking point where you went, oh, I think I have a problem? And what did that look like to begin to face that and to learn how to get underneath what the anger was trying to say? What did that look like in your life?
Well, that for anger specifically, I think that would have been the rock bottom. But denial is such a strong force that I didn't think about it. It's not. I wasn't reflective like I am today. Going through step studies, journaling, and all that. I didn't have those tools back then, and really going through Celebrate Recovery is where I learned. Okay, how did this all start? And if I didn't have Jesus right now, I don't know where I would be, because I believe as I grow older, I calmed down a lot. I had a lot of rage and stuff in my 20s and my 30s, but then after I got divorced, I think that was probably another impetus of, okay, you need to slow down, figure stuff out, get in touch with something. I had a chance after high school to really just kind of stop, take a look around, and try to figure things out. But I didn't know what I was looking for. And so I just kind of wasted 4 years not knowing what to do, going through menial jobs here and there, and finally went to college. And I really enjoyed college. Now, I barely graduated high school because of failing 10th grade English twice. It was partially because of, I look back now, I can say it's partially because of depression, but also because I just didn't like the teacher, and sentence diagramming was the stupidest thing in the world to me. But then when I get to college and I'm getting positive feedback from teachers, and I felt like that was where I needed to be. And I look back now and I say, okay, that was the Holy Spirit nudging me. The Holy Spirit has been nudging me my whole life. I just haven't recognized it or listened to it. And within the last, 5-10 years or so, I've listened. I've got a strong marriage with a godly, beautiful woman. I'm leading a ministry. I'm a rep for Celebrate Recovery that in a million years I never would have thought of being in any kind of ministry facet. And it's just all kind of come together. And I love what I do. I love being a rep for CR. I love being able to talk to people and help them. And they come to me with questions. And, as you know, I've reached out to you a few times with some questions. Like, I don't know how to handle this, but I know who to go to. So it's truly life-changing. And I really wish that everyone could have that kind of life transformation. You don't have to have an addiction. You don't even have to have a real anger problem, but we all have something in our past that has happened that we haven't dealt with that still creeps up in our life, kind of like that radiation. It just creeps up and then boom, there's Chernobyl.
Love that. So, man, if somebody's listening and they're struggling with anger, it could be all kinds of things, but specifically since that's a part of your story, there's probably some common tools that help with all issues, right? But for you, how have you learned to honor anger as a God-given emotion, but not use it as a weapon? What's some strategies that you've learned through Celebrate Recovery? Maybe it was through the inventory process, something you learned that might have been fueling the anger, which can kind of be tied to our core beliefs, how we see ourselves, that kind of thing. What have you learned through the Celebrate Recovery process, and what's some tools that you've begun to apply to keep anger from being weaponized?
That's a good question. It's a very, very good question. The thing that I try to do the most is to breathe. Number one, breathe. When something's happening, I try to breathe. And then number two, especially like when I'm driving, because that's a lot of times when, right now, when the anger really hits me. People are doing things, and it's been said, we can't let the insignificant actions of others control our emotions. And so when I think about that, I think, okay, what do I need to do to just relax, breathe, deep breaths in and out. And then number two, I find that when I get into those situations, it's on my face. And so like the old customer service thing. You got to smile when you're talking to people, even if they're on the phone, because they can hear that smile in your voice. And so I have to think to myself, I've got nothing really to be angry about here. Nothing. I'm not in a hurry. Even if I was in a hurry, let the people go around me. It's okay. I let people cut in line all the time. My coworkers, when something happens and I feel like, oh, this person just kind of threw me under the bus, I just breathe. And then I smile. And I don't want to say I think happy thoughts, because that's a little corny. But I do smile, and I notice that is a great way to bring peace into my soul. It sounds kind of weird, but it's the truth. And those are some of the things that I've learned, through multiple step studies, through journaling, through looking back, and, daily inventory at the end of the day. Okay, what happened today? Oh, this person did this. And then I've learned I love the typing out the angry email. Just get it all out and then delete it and then start fresh. And then one of my coworkers is a very godly person. And so she and I will talk, because I know that if I say something in a certain way that it's probably not very business conducive, right? And so we have that rapport that we can go back and forth on that. And that would be probably the third biggest thing, is to have that support group. Because that's the number one thing I learned through Celebrate Recovery, is to have that support group and to use that support group. Talk to my sponsor before Chernobyl happens. And that's the key. I'm sure you've had sponsees where they call, oh, I messed up, I relapsed or whatever. Why didn't you call me first? Oh, yeah. If we don't utilize those tools, then what do we got? We have sin. We have actions that have consequences.
That's good stuff, man. And we're going to take a quick break right here, and when we come back, we'll continue the conversation with Jim and hear the fruit of what God has done in his life. Stick with me, and we'll continue the conversation. We'll be right back with you. Hey friends, did you know that we have an online meeting every single Wednesday, noon Pacific? People from all over the world come together to share and listen to a mini-moni, maybe a devotional, and then we break up into gender-specific groups. You can share, you can listen, but I know for sure you will leave encouraged to help you get to that next meeting. If you'd like to join us, go to celebraterecovery.com, find the link, and join us this Wednesday, noon Pacific. Hope to see you there, guys. Well, welcome back. So, continuing the conversation here with our brother Jim, what a delight he is. Just seeing the hope in his eyes brought me a lot of encouragement. Let's continue to listen to our conversation with Jim. So, one of the things we talk about in the inventory process, addressing kind of old anger so that when new anger shows up, it's not compounded from unresolved old anger. And what's some things that you learned from your story, just about things that happened in your past that were kind of unresolved hurt that kind of showed up in the presence of anger? Is there any old anger that you worked through in your recovery journey that you learned through the inventory process? Any nuggets there if someone's kind of maybe getting ready to enter into their inventory or wondering, is it even worth it? What'd you learn through that inventory process as it relates to old anger?
The first thing that I learned was that I had to be true to myself. Doing my first step study was just kind of a surface level, blah, 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 just kind of went through the motions. I think a lot of people probably feel that as well. And so I knew I needed to do more, right? Second step study, I was true to myself. And I started writing my answers out And they were becoming uncomfortable. And that's when it hit me. Okay, this has got to be what I'm really meant to do, right? So one of the things that I had to work on was I never liked basketball too much. Partially because I think it was 5th grade, and I tried out for the basketball team at my school. I was going to a Catholic school. We had like 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade teams. And the coach, I was actually doing quite well, I thought. And I ended up high-fiving one of my teammates, right? But like really aggressively high-fiving. He caught that and he called me out on it. And he's like, whatever, get out of here. You're done. And I sat with that for years and years. And finally, during one step say, I'm like, that incident right there kind of set me on a path. And when I really dove into it and I was true to myself and answered the questions on the spiritual inventory, like, okay, why is this still with me? Why? And looking back through it, so the first Celebrate Recovery meeting at my church at Morning Star, I went to, right? Because I wanted to support my friends. This was before I was playing in the band. And there was a guy there. He ended up sharing something during open share time about not feeling love from his father. And that set him on a path. And when I was working on that and thinking back to that time, my dad loved basketball. Loved it. He coached my brother's teams and did all this stuff. And I remember seeing that and thinking, why can't I have that? Basically. And it hit me. That was, I believe, the reason why I was just so drawn to that one specific incident. And once I got to that point and I started to become more open with my answers and open with my thoughts, that kind of opened the door for other things as well.
So good, man. So, yeah, lots there, man. I love that. A lot of organization of some things and some light bulbs going off along the way. I love that. And we learn a lot through that, don't we? Yeah. So, man, if somebody's listening and they're wrestling with some anger, or maybe it's just anything, right? And they're on the fence about the process as a whole, and you've got their ear and you get to talk to them. It's just you and their ear right now. Maybe they're listening in their car, they're on the treadmill, they're taking a walk. Maybe they're listening in the privacy of their home, whatever. And it's just your voice speaking to this person. It could be a man, woman, old, young. Doesn't matter what background they come from, but you get to speak to encouragement of why this could be helpful and why it would be beneficial. What would you say to them if you had their ear right now and they're on the fence about jumping in this process?
Number one, you're worth it. Number two, God loves you. He wants what's best for you. And number three, you don't have to go through life miserable. Now, the joy that we feel in this life is nothing like what we're going to experience in heaven, right? But we can still be content with the life that we're leading. And we're worth it. We are so worth it. At the end of my testimony, I like to call out to the newcomers, say, keep coming back. You're worth it. But remember this, you have to do you at your pace. You're not in a race with other people. It's not all going to come to you quickly. It's a process. We all have to go through the process, but the process is so worth it. I'm getting choked up now because this is how powerful this is to me. As children of God, He wants us to be his friends, right? His children. How do we do that? We get into his word. And I'm going to go off on a tangent, and I don't want to do that. I just want to make sure that if I was talking to someone, those are the things that I would say to them directly, because even an encouraging word like just keep coming back, come to Celebrate Recovery, try it out. Like Max likes to say, we'll refund your misery if you don't feel it working in 4 weeks or something. We had a gentleman come to our open share group one night, just a wreck. And we listened to his story. And afterwards, what do? We say, thank you for sharing. And afterwards, we're like, hey, here's our numbers. If you need anything, call us. Come to find out, he was close to ending it. And he said, this group saved my life. And every week since then, he's been coming back. And he keeps telling us, you guys have saved my life. And I thank Jesus for putting me into this place.
Love that, man. For our listeners that can't see your face right now, man, there's just a lot of movement in your heart, through the tears, and just even as you're sharing it, I can tell that there's a lot of gratitude. And man, it strikes me, and I appreciate you sharing, and I feel your heart. I hope our listeners are getting the same kind of blessing that I am. Man, in the holiday seasons, gratitude is a big part of the recovery journey, right? And you were talking about happy thoughts. Gratitude is something that can keep our eyes up and on the right space. What is Jim grateful for these days? What if you're just doing a gratitude list in the presence of all of our listeners? What are you grateful for, man? What moves your heart to just thankfulness? I'd love to hear your heart.
My list starts with my relationship with God, and that I actually have one now. I didn't for many years, and I realized that's what I was missing in my life. As we like to say it, there was a God-sized hole in my heart, and he's filled it. And I would be thankful for my wife. She's a pretty amazing woman. That she puts up with me, right? Isn't that the way we always say it? And my family. I think without Celebrate Recovery in my life, without the changes that God has made in my life, I wouldn't have the closer relationship with my brother that I have now. Growing up, we weren't really close, and we fought like cats and dogs, where there's a 5-year difference. And now we actually reach out to each other, are intentional with staying in contact. And it's an amazing thing, because we never had that before. And then my extended family, my in-laws are amazing. I'm truly blessed all around, truly blessed. And knowing people like you and all of my CR family, it's just blessing after blessing.
Love that, man. I love your heart, brother. It's what this part of this kind of conversation is, just a blessing, Billy, to hear kind of shine a flashlight in your heart and see a little bit another layer of your heart. I know you're a good man. I see what you do for the kingdom. I know you love your wife well, but I love hearing your heart. I love seeing your heart as you're talking about it. It says a lot, means a lot. And so just want you to know, man, that we're grateful for you and just who you are, most important, first and foremost, but what you do for the kingdom. I know you're leaving a lot of fingerprints on a lot of lives, and I thank God that he got a hold of you. And for the last 13 years now, serving at Morning Star in Missouri, Thursday nights, I know people that come to your ministry there are blessed, man. So thank you for all that you do and the lives that you're touching. Any closing thoughts as we wrap up, brother?
The only closing thought that I think I would want to just relay out there is, I'm just going to be like a broken record. see our works. It's amazing that John Baker just kind of had this idea and put this program together, and 35 years later, it's just amazing the lives that have been transformed. And I am truly blessed to be a part of this whole thing. And as the Christmas season comes, for anyone who's listening who maybe doesn't go to a Celebrate Recovery, just happen upon this podcast, go, try it out with an open mind. Because once our mind is open, then the true healing can happen. Once we step out of our denial. I still have that 25th anniversary shirt that says, "Denial, it's not just a river in Egypt." One of my favorites. So yeah, that would be it. Like, again, we're worth it. We're all worth it in the eyes of God. And that's what's most important.
I love that. And Jim, just as I'm sitting here thinking, I'm thinking about the millions of Jims that are out there that have their own story. And then gets me excited, gives me goosebumps thinking about someone that's listening that will be added to that million because they've heard your story. And they say, you know what, maybe I'll give it a try. And as we say often, give it a few meetings. I always tell people, give it 6 meetings. And if it's not for you, we'll help you find something that is for you. But everything new is weird and different. Just give it a shot. And what if God could do something in and through you as you took that step? And should you be curious about the possibility that God could do something in your life? And so if you're listening, hearing Jim's words, and you're encouraged, give it a shot. Show up and jump into a meeting. And I've never heard anybody say after going to Celebrate Recovery, well, that was a waste of my time. It's hard to get there, but you always leave blessed, and Jim and myself can relate to that, and millions of others. So, brother, thank you so much for sharing and being a part of this great ministry. And if you're listening again, go to celebraterecovery.com, learn more about who we are, and find a group near you. And we'd love for you to be a part of this online or in person to be a part of this movement. But thanks for listening, and God bless you all. Wow. Well, it always brings me encouragement. I hope you feel as encouraged as I do listening to just a snippet of our brother's testimony. What a great guy Jim is, and just love his heart, love his passion for Jesus. I love how he's not wasting the hurt from his life, and he's paying it forward. He's using his words and his deeds to share the good news with others, and we're grateful for you. If you get a chance, go visit Jim at his Celebrate Recovery. I know he'd love to have you. Hey, thanks as always for listening. I hope that you're encouraged. Keep going. You can do this with God and Jesus living inside of you. Hey, thanks for being with me. I pray that you'll join me next time. Until then, God bless you guys.